we consider to be our values are in fact arbitrary conditioning byproducts of, on one extreme, which evolve out of our need to feel perpetually, our need not to feel perpetually worried and surprised and disorientated by the regularly appearing environment and cultural attributes. And on the other extreme are deliberately reinforced by the dominant perspective of the ruling social order. As Dr. Gabor Mate puts it, what you have to understand about an intellectual culture of a society is that it actually reflects the power interest in that society, the dominant perspective. And built right into the dominant value structure is the taboo of questioning the authority by which it is delivered. Fear of the unknown and fear of ostracism ensure that the advent of new opinions, new realizations, or anything that is new at all is met with discomfort, fear, even anger. And it's true of every existing society to get today. Again, McMurtry, this block against exposing the habituated and socially constructed self, and more deeply the regulating order which has constructed it, is a transcultural problem. Here is our second limiter to add to the first market lock. Resting within and under the market system shared by most of this planet is the culture blindness of basic societal functional analysis, our values, the mind lock. It is the inability and ill-equipped nature to understand how the system is operating around us and how our views are being informed by it. Third and finally, there is the sphere of education, something which Jim Phillips has dealt with in the applied sense. By education, I don't simply mean school, university, and grades and cheating, but also the methods of the distribution of information that exist within a society, including schools, universities, television, radio, internet-based media, films and documentaries, books, printed material, conversations, and so on. Education, in my sense, is the systemic assimilation and distribution of information within a society, the furthering of any knowledge and its modification, adjustment, development, and redistribution. It is what you learn from the daily interaction with that society, whether it's through a concerted and defined institution like a school, or personal endeavor like a book or a science kit, or leisure, be it what you are told by others or by television programs, what they display to you. As James Phillips has dealt with in his lecture a bit more detailed, education is often believed to be somehow separate from culture, a supra-societal, free of the biases of tradition, myth, and so on. Whereas, in fact, education is in many of its areas a product of culture. One need only to really read a history book written under communist rule or the modern American school system to witness this bias. Not only are the teachers, journalists, and authors and so on, all victims of that culture, but the syllabus of an institution born of a traditional society with set doctrines is itself a machine that pumps out information well below the rate of actual advance that the society experiences, which is, as discussed already, hindered by the previously discussed mechanism of market lock, and so on. Look only to Semmelweis's experience of how his discoveries were dealt with by the established colleges. The dominant educational model often implicitly supports the ruling value system. It is the dominant perspective. Thus, schools which produce well-adjusted citizens and well-rounded individuals are in fact producing individuals which are adjusted to the flaws and presuppositions of that society. As Jiddu Krishnamurti put it, it is no measure of health to be well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society. At the same time, the place of systems of knowledge, learning and research and inquiry must stand at the forefront of such a society if we're able to gather such feedback in a cohesive, meaningful way. If we are to progress, these systems must be open and freely available for all to access. The issues we see in the stories we've discussed and what we see in the world come from restricted access, from blocking and compartmentalizing pre-existing areas of culture or of information. This, if we are able to progress, must be overthrown. And if you think about it, there is no actual way of successfully cooperating and working together if we continue the practice of ownership, because ownership presupposes non-cooperation. There is already a value program, an attitude, a practice that fits this bill. With the necessity of proof, testing, self-awareness, and self-critical analysis, the scientific method is the method by which we conserve and update our society. Its reference are in the physical world, not the opinion of some politician, nor the folkways of industry, nor the traditions of a religion. As you look around in this room, I would ask you to become mindful of the things which the scientific method has actually given us. My voice is audible. I have something called slides, which underline my point. We sit on and in constructed edifices and wear clothes that are all the result of technical processes. Indeed, many of us are alive because of science. Had I been born with medical technology set back 100 years, I would most likely not be speaking to you today. Now, it must be made clear that the scientific method is not the same as some elements of the modern scientific establishment. Indeed, the horrors, inefficiencies, slowness to adapt, and other attributes previously mentioned are the results of the interference of the dominant cultural value set with the attempts of the scientific method. The results are systematically downgraded and diluted scientific landscape. If the scientific method were the act of running, we are currently running underwater. Rather, it is the system attributes of the scientific method themselves that, when promoted to the overriding value orientation of society, will yield a system where efficiency and sustainability are promoted and where the obsolescence and waste-generating mechanism of present-day life are deselected in favor of those processes that take care of every human being well beyond what we would believe actually possible in a market system based on competition, inefficiency, tradition, so on. Many people consider this to be cold and unfeeling. Well, if using science to solve our social issues sounds cold to you, you may want to consider this. You employ the scientific method every day. Placing one foot in front of the other will enable you to walk forwards. Having learned this, and that it's generally a good idea to face forward, you employ this method because of the results you have come to get from that. You know that turning a door handle and either pushing or pulling the door will enable you to pass through. Nobody attempts to simply walk through a closed door because of the environmental feedback from testing it that has resulted in the proven knowledge that it is an unsuccessful practice and the cause of many, many headaches, at least for me. The most metaphysically orientated minds will still interact with the physical world in the way that the human body requires and is able to. It is a physical referent in that sense that drives every action. This is why we propose a resource-based economy. Money is not scientific. It's made up. It no longer works as a positive force in society, instead dividing, blocking, and usurping human ingenuity that has been present since the absence of money as a motivational force. Tesla didn't do it for the money. Armstrong wasn't a radio genius since his teens because of the money. Galileo didn't do it for the money. Martin Luther King didn't do it for the money. If you're only doing it for the money, it's probably not worth doing to begin with. Okay? Using what science and technology can truly offer us, we will evolve beyond the need for money. And with it, we will free ourselves from the inefficiencies, debt slavery, and tendencies towards manipulation that the present system's faulty self-analysis puts down to human nature and the way things are. In fact, we're already evolving beyond the need for money anyway, or at least our ability to maintain it usefully within society. We have in the last 50 years automated phone operators, while massively increasing phone operator services. We have automated bank teller positions, and you're telling me we're taking less money out now? People actually forget there is even once a job called a bank teller, and were those guys, those token ones in Barclays, not there anymore, you would forget it immediately because they're not necessary. We've got rid of the lift operator. He doesn't exist anymore, nor does the Iceman, thanks to the refrigerator. Blockbuster and similar stores are basically going out of business because of online DVD services, largely automated, as are entirely automated DVD machines. This alone will do away with the entire concept of money, a system which is now resulting in poorly applied technologies, stunted innovation, death and destruction, not to mention the social ills of poverty, crime, and gaming for advantage. In a society based on the scientific method, applied for social concern, we do away with vague human opinion in the operation of society. I don't care what David Sarnoff may think of FM technologies, or what a large pharmaceutical company thinks about Stanislav Brzezinski's treatment of cancer. If the science works, it stays. If it is one day surpassed by better methods, it goes. End of. No politicians, no voting, no straw polls, no vox pop interviews with people who do not know what the fuck they're talking about. It is the election of ideas that we're in desperate need of. If we are to survive in the most abundant, enjoyable, safe, free and fair society we can possibly create at any given moment. And I will just say about that freedom. This is one of the big things that we're going to face, is you're affecting my freedom with your new system. Okay, you don't have any freedom whatsoever other than laws of nature. Sorry, that's the way it goes. And any society that affords you new freedoms, it's because of the architecture of that society, not something that was written down on an old piece of paper that people pay money to go and see, or any of that rubbish. It's the architecture of the society you're in, okay? Just remember that, because people are going to bring it up to you all the time. And if science has taught us anything, it has taught us that working together is better than working alone or against each other. We can be so wonderfully achieving were the world simply to stop, look around, assess the situation, look at our tools, take stock of what resources are left and where, and fight the common enemy. And the enemy we all face now is what our culture is doing to us. It's the stage we are setting for our own destruction. Should we not reform our society and base it on resource management enabled through the scientific tools that we have? These are our three limiters. The market itself is the determiner of the options you see in society. The forces of profit, competition, and ownership. The mind lock, our second limiter, blocks our ability to assess our market log, the way things are, within a wider context, what Will would call a new frame. And our education, including the media and every other available source of information, informs both the ability to think and our ability to act on one side, and represents, promotes, and governs the discourse of the market on the other side in the form of propaganda. Combined, they are the overarching lock mechanism. They are the three bars on our prison cell window. Is it up there? It took me a while to find that. Many of them don't have three anymore. The social model we promote contravenes the need for these limiters, based on the understanding that strategically serving every human is to our individual and collective advantage by using our only proven tools, the scientific method and our knowledge of technology. Everything else is just whistling past the graveyard. A couple of months ago, I was debating on how to end this talk, other than by just telling you to join the movement. And here's something that I actually took from Charlie Veitch when he was on V Radio. Are you here still, Charlie? He's gone, okay, fine. I'll send this to him. he said something about fractals, and I only vaguely knew what a fractal was. So bear with me. This is a fractal. Some of our doomed engineers even worked on them. Gail Cantor's work actually led partially to the understanding of fractals and that we have today. It's a mathematically generated image, in some cases, which is self-similar. That means that any one portion will at least approximately resemble the whole if zoomed in on. It is infinitely scalable, either up or down, and the shape will reach a point eventually where the constituent part will look the same as the whole. In turn, the shape forms one of the constituent parts for a larger self-similar object. We even see these patterns in nature. Romanesco broccoli is sort of a big kind of thing that goes up, but it's also made of other things, and they are made of other things. Yeah, the constituent parts, basically. The veins of a leaf are nice and easy to understand. A fern is composed of self-similar portions, each self-similar portion also composed of other self-similar portions. What about an atom? An atom is a nucleus surrounded by electrons which circle and orbit. The Earth is orbited by a moon. In turn, the Sun is orbited by multiple bodies in space. Solar systems orbit a center to become galaxies. The orbiting bodies are all made of their constituent parts, all with their own orbits and orbiters. Change a portion of the constituent part, and the whole shape changes. Change the whole, and the constituent parts change as well. Of course, when you witness a change in a fractal, one has to decide whether the change came from the constituent part or the whole. Perhaps it's a little bit of both. Gail Cantor didn't go into it. I would like you for a second to evaluate your actual position in this world. You are an individual in a collective whole, a cog in a societal frame. Yet your individuality is a supportive mirror of the values of your system, whatever those values are. In that sense, you're a portion of a fractal society. It reflects you, and you reflect it. And as we begin to assess our society from the true perspective, the overarching perspective, the global perspective, perhaps you, like me, can entertain the fractal metaphor. One person can change their mind. Several people can change the mood. But a whole world of people changing their minds changes the world. Thank you.